Hello, everybody. Again, this is Greg West coming to you from the Black Community Blackboard channel on YouTube. This channel is dedicated, to get the information out to our community that, we have positive people doing good things in the community. It's time for us to set our own narrative. No longer do we need to have the media portraying us as they have been, as savages or just criminals and stuff like that. We have people in our community, our hidden gems are what we really look for, the ones that, don't get a lot of recognition that are doing positive things. If you would like to support this channel at the end of the night, we will tell you how. If not, just keep coming on, have your friends subscribe. And the one thing that I always like to remind you, everybody has somebody in their community, whether it's that shop owner that was always there when you were coming up, and whether it was that educator or these young brothers and sisters who are starting their businesses and anything like that. If there's somebody that you think that we need to highlight on this channel, please have them get with us at blackcommunityblackboard@gmail.com. We're always looking to get the positive stories out there because there are a lot of them in our community, and it's time for us to start highlighting those. Tonight it's a special guest, and I've been excited since she said yes. I met this sister. I met her on my spiritual advisors channel, Philippe Matthews. For any of you guys who know him or follow his channel, I met her through that channel, and I've been watching her, and there's a lot of good information that she brings, and a lot. And anytime that she speaks, it seems like she hits me right in my spirit of what that conversation is going on. So when she agreed to do this interview, I was really, really excited, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this interview goes. But right now, we're here to help promote her book, Recovering. I can't really see it because of my background, but Recovering from 2020. It's a 12-step guide, basically, of dealing with all the trauma and the craziness that was the year of 2020, because that was a year that we would never forget. Nicola is the founder and the CEO of Life Alchemy, life coaching. She's an alchemist of energy, recovery coach, minister, and healer. She holds her BA from Paul Quinn College in sociology and a minor in psychology and music. She also completed her second BA in metaphysics, which from the University of Sedona. She has her master's in theology from Fuller Theology Seminar, with the emphasis on recovery counseling, and is completing her thesis for her master's in metaphysics. She's also a candidate for her doctorate in metaphysics. So she's been real busy. She's has experienced, licensed, and ordained minister for nearly 40 years in Christianity and 5 in the metaphysics science. So she's been real busy, and I'm looking forward to this interview, and I'm really looking forward for talking about the book. I've got mine in the mail, and I've only been able to get up to step 4 because I said I was going to read it all, but I have a busy life. But you know what I'm saying. But I did get started yesterday because I wanted to talk about this book, and I wanted to have my research done before we got there. But hey, as things happen, this is where it is. So good evening, Nicola. Tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Hotep to the God, and thank you so much for allowing me to come on your platform. And also thank you for everything you are doing in the community, because we're all needed. And I'm always grateful to see the kings, the gods doing things in their community, making things happen. So thank you for that. So this book came about because of a private personal journal I was writing for myself. I got up one morning and I just started writing about everything that I was watching. I'm a deeply empathic person. I'm a feeler. So when pain is happening around me, I feel it in a very deep and very poignant way. And I was watching people getting put out of their apartments. I think the push for me was when I saw an elderly woman getting put out of her apartment because the landlord couldn't get his portion of the finances paying the duplex or fourplex or something they had. And so it pushed him in a position where he couldn't make his mortgage on the place, and therefore the people that couldn't pay rent had to go. And those people, seeing them being put out like that because of this whole crazy COVID situation, it was kind of like, it kind of tugged at my heart, because even though I was okay, it wasn't okay for me to see the people around me suffering. But the other thing is, I am so intimately acquainted with grief. It's not even funny, because I have watched, when I went back and recounted how many years I was in grief personally from the things that I had gone through in my life, I counted at least a decade straight of major losses. Bam, bam, every single year. So
Right.
it's like I couldn't recover from grief because it was always the next thing happening and the next thing happening and the next thing happening. So having that intimate, feeling of dealing with grief in my personal life, and then seeing these people around me going through everything they were going through, and being the empathic person that I am, I was like, man, this is tugging on me in a real special way right now. So I started thinking, okay, how somehow I found a way to be able to get back up again. What did I do? And I started thinking about the ways that I found myself coming through resilience each time I got a hit. And I also thought about the work that I've been doing with people in recovery coaching. I'm like, why not use what we already have in our hands? And I broke my anonymity because I was in recovery for Al-Anon, and I decided a lot of people I know and love need this information, but they will probably never find themselves in that room.
Right.
People are very familiar and acquainted with AA
Right.
because the courts have sent you to AA.
Right.
But the other 12 step types of 12 step programs that are out there, most people are not acquainted with. Like, I didn't learn until about 5-6 years ago about adult children of alcoholics and dysfunctional families. So, even though I hadn't been in Al-Anon for close to 14 years, I didn't even know there was a whole other sector of that. So I thought, since I have a channel, Courage to Change, if you all are not subscribed to it, since I have that channel already dedicated to doing this type of work, and we're already seeing how we can use this on a micro level in our personal lives when it comes to, either dealing with addicts or being able to cope through addiction, any form of addiction, whatever that may be. Why not use these ways to slow ourselves down and figure out how to recover from the events that happened to us all last year?
Right.
Because it was so much, and it's so easy for people to be overwhelmed. They don't know where to start. Sometimes people don't know where to start because life can be that overwhelming. And I personally know what it feels like to be in grief and to have so much piled on me that I can't see my first step. I don't even know what step to make
Right.
sometimes. So I wrote this with that intention because it's small, it's easy, you can read it in one setting, because I didn't want to overwhelm or overtax the brain. I wanted to give you practical things you can do step by step. Okay, just sit down, do this, do that, do that. And it gives you a way to work your way out of whatever dark spaces that you're in.
And I like the fact that you kept it simple. With me being a person with long-term recovery, that's one of the things that we talk about is keeping it simple.
Mhm.
Like you said, something not to overwhelm and everything, because we know that sometimes we can hurt people by giving them too much
Mhm. Mhm.
instead of keeping it simple. And that's one thing, like I said, when I picked it up and I started reading it yesterday, I liked the way that it was just the simplicity of it. And like I say, with me being person long-term recovery, I've worked the 12 steps in the fellowship that I belong to a couple times. I'm currently working them now. And like, again, because like one thing that we talk about in the fellowship is that, the whole world could really use this method. It
Right.
really could. It's
Right.
not just, because whether we realize it or not, we all are recovering from something, whether we realize it or not. Whether it's from, like I'm thankful for the court system because I never thought I had a problem. But if you keep going back and forth to jail for selling drugs, man, you might have a problem. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? But a lot of people don't see that we're all recovering from grief, especially in the Black community. We
Mhm.
have so much grief going on and so much trauma. That's why I'm appreciating this book because hopefully you'll have a follow-up and not just for 2020 but also how the Black community can recover from all
Oh,
the
we're
trauma.
working on some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So so you say that like You got this idea from just taking from your journals. Let's talk about 2020, because we've seen a lot of crazy stuff starting, like you talk about starting off at the beginning of the year, which, us losing Kobe and watching so many black men, what I'm saying, openly crying. And whether we realize that or not, that was a healing process for us, not, because we were able to do something that we as black men were told we don't do. We don't show our emotions. We're not supposed to cry. So let's talk about, just starting that right there from 2020 with the death of Kobe, and as it progressed, how do you think that this book will be able to help people recover from this crazy traumatic year from last year?
I'm glad you opened it up there because that was a huge moment. I never saw the level of grief being outwardly shown by men in a form that was other than anger. See, men could show anger, but women can't show anger. Women can show sadness. So to have men show tears and sadness instead of anger, that was a huge moment. I saw a turning point there. For women, we have the permission by society or whatever to be sad or depressed, but we can't be angry. So it was the opposite. It's the opposite thing for us. So I'm trying to push all of us to kind of come out of that comfort zone. If you've never been angry or able to show your anger, just you do cuss, do what you got to do, say it as women. But the men, I'm trying to encourage y'all to cry a little bit more. But I didn't have to do anything except watch that this whole thing just opened up. And I'm like, wow, I always see everything as a teacher or an opportunity. So this was it was an open door. And I think that the 2020 itself was just the turning point for everything that had to open up the way it need to open up. But it was excruciatingly painful for a lot of people. But to feel that grief, it was palpable. I was on Facebook. I did a live just for the men. I said, I just want to give y'all a space to let it go, because I've never seen so many men's tears open. When I saw Snoop Dogg dog out Gail, that was huge, and I'm like, oh my God, this is big. This is big. But it was a much needed tear, and it was painful that it had to take somebody like him to go for that type of release to happen. But sometimes you have to have that type of release. Then shortly thereafter, we have Nipsey Hussle, and oh my God, a whole other hit. It was a whole other hit, and I'm watching grown men go down in a way that I had never seen them cry and grieve, and I'm like, whoa, this is huge, but it's healing. It's painful, but it's time to release. It's time to let go. It's time to see yourself being in tune and in touch with the other forms of your emotions, except for that one space that you feel like you have permission to show, which is anger. And I know what society have taught us, but that's the thing that's happening and has happened starting with 2020 is the paradigm shift of everything that we thought we had to be in. That whole code got cracked, and the paradigm began to switch and turn around, and everything that was one-sided had to be, it's turning. It's not there yet because we're still going through it.
Oh yeah.
But it started cracking the code on it when I saw men like, ooh, I gotta release this in a way that I've never released this before. I'm hurting. And I'm great. And so I was just encouraging men to say, okay, thank you for finally admitting something hurts instead of being angry. Release it. You have permission to cry. You have permission to let it go. And it's time for us to crack the code on the way we have always seen life. This is that turning point. And maybe that turning point is going to balance that feminine and masculine energy, because you have a feminine energy that might need to rise up. And some of us have a dominant energy that might need to cool down a bit so that we can balance things out. But it started a healing between men and women and men with themselves in a way that I had not seen before. And so I'm grateful for the way it opened up in 2020.
Yeah, that was one good. I mean, it was what a lot of people don't realize is that we were moving out of we were moving into the age of Aquarius. We've heard the songs for, and this is really that's where we at now. And when you were talking about that paradigm shift and everything, that was for me. I was able to recognize that that was one hell of an introduction to
Mhm.
the age of Aquarius. What a lot
Absolutely.
of people don't realize is that this is also an informational age. So, like right now, when you were talking about the paradigm shift, me and some other people have been talking that in the Black community, whether you're from the conscious community, whether you're still, whether you're in the Christian community, but as a Black people, we are recognizing the paradigm shift happening, where
Hmm.
we are starting to wake up to the point where we're like, oh, okay. And when this is just, other people might not believe it. This is okay. It's okay. That's why I love about being Pan African. As long as you're pro Black, I'm okay with you. I don't care what your spiritual belief is. But like one thing that we're noticing this, that people are waking up from all sectors of our community, and
Hmm.
it's important for us to start taking this energy before they try to find a way, because anytime they notice that we're waking up, they try to find a way to put a stop to it because of the fear that they have. So I honestly believe that's why this platform and what you're doing with the life coach out and everything like that, and this book and everything, is important that we pull this energy together so that we
Hmm.
can keep that paradigm shift happening, so we can keep the momentum going, so that we can keep the healing. More people wanted to get that healing that you were talking
Right.
about. So tell me, what brought you to this point in your life where, because like I said, reading over your resume and everything like this, you coming from the background that you have and everything. So what got you into wanting to study the field of metaphysics in the beginning, or as I like to call it, African science?
It is an African science. And that's why I really, to this day, I study metaphysics, but I don't call myself a metaphysician. It's amazing how spirit works. I'm gonna tell you,
Mhm.
I like to tell stories. That's how I teach. So I was, like I said, I was in church all of my life. I was a church girl, but I was always a deeply spiritual person. And I had a lot of things that I saw and knew that didn't fit the church paradigm, so to speak, that goes on with me, but also in my family. My whole family is incredibly gifted. We are seers. We've always been seers. It don't fit the church paradigm in a way, but we always went to church anyway, right?
Because that's what
So,
we're taught. That's what we were taught as a community to do.
right. Was taught and trained to go to church. So what happened to me is I started waking up, I would say around 2009, maybe a little bit before then. I was in a parachurch organization, and I was also a part of a mega church. And I saw a lot. I saw a lot. And it started shifting my perspective on this religion thing. But I kept trying to hang in there because I was trying to stay faithful to the thing that we call Christianity at that time in my life, and trying to stay faithful to my pastor and all of the stuff that I was trained to do and
Right.
all that stuff. So about 2010, I burned completely out. I was burned out from ministry because I was a workaholic, and no one had ever told me to balance my life. And this is when my this is when all of the stuff started crashing in on me. So I went to rest. I ended up going to seminary to get my master's degree. That was rest, right? Go to seminary, and I'm studying, and I realized that I'm having a wake up call in these classes when I'm learning more and more truth, and how these white people are telling me I need to think. And I'm like, this something is not, whoa, this is not quite right. And why is it that everything goes back to the Greek and the Hebrew? And I'm just, I'm looking at these books and all this stuff, and I'm like, something don't feel right. But these classes were waking me up because I realized they were trying to train my brain to think a certain way. And I'm the only Black person in most of my classes. So my brain is thinking a completely different way because of my own personal spiritual experiences. But I went through a horrendous time there. But when I came out, I went through, I went taught in China for a while, came back home, and it was a dream that woke me up. So I had a dream about some little characters in this. No, what happened is that the dream was about me being in this museum. I was in this museum, and my brother, I had my nieces and my nephews with me, and my brother called me at the museum and he said, "Have you gone to see the Memphis glasses?" I said, "The Memphis glasses?" I said, "No, well," he said, "You got to go back and see them." So I'm looking at these little glasses on the top, and my niece is directing me to these little characters in the bottom. So I'm looking at the bottom shelf and I'm like, "What is this?" So she's like, "That's the Memphis." So for some reason, I'm like, why am I seeing this? So in the dream, I'm in the dream, and in the dream I see MIMPS. So something jolted me out of my sleep, and I started doing an etymology on the word right off the top. And spirit kept leading me all the way back to Memphis, Egypt.
Yeah, right. Kemet. Yeah.
Right. And this is so crazy how spirit wakes me up with, but this literally happened in a dream. So get back to Memphis, Egypt, started studying from there, end up looking at the Shabaka stone and looking at all of this. And I'm like, oh, so all of this stuff I was learning that was supposedly the Greek and the Hebrew in seminary started here. So that's how I started. I mean, that it was kept the ball rolling, and I ended up finding Philippe's channel,
right,
and found Baba Kaba.
Baba Kaba, yeah.
And I'd seen him before in Hidden Colors, and I was like, oh, I think I wasn't. All the pieces started coming together for me, and that started my process of studying metaphysics. Prior to that, I was familiar with some things, but this is the thing and this is the reason why I approach healing in the way that I do and talking to people in the way that I do. The brothers that came to me from the conscious community back in the day that was so harsh and so hard and looked so angry, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go over here with these happy Christian people because y'all look like y'all angry about something. So, and I wasn't hearing them. Now they might have been telling me the truth, but I couldn't take it in because of the way they were presenting it to me at the time. But all of a sudden, because the way spirit worked with me in my dream state, I was able to hear all the pieces started coming together, and I'm like, oh, so this is the origin of all of this stuff. Right. And that started my study of metaphysics from that point on.
It's funny how we all get to our well, not our destination, because destination won't be till we transcend from this plane. That's what my belief is. But it's funny how we find our road that gets us to, us on our journey. Because me, like you, I grew up in the church, went to Christian private school, learned, but some things never really made sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I would ask questions, I would get in trouble.
Exactly.
Just simple stuff, and that goes back to where you were talking about how when you were in seminary, they were trying to indoctrinate you to think certain ways. And it made me think back how long ago it was that they were trying to indoctrinate, and we get indoctrinated. And like I say, what a lot of people don't realize is that the Christianity that we see today isn't the Christianity of how it started when we started it, and back as it evolved out of Kemet, from what I'm saying, everything and all that stuff from Haru, and the Trinity, the true Trinity, and everything, and how it grew. And so it's important that we keep doing the work so that we know the truth, and maybe some other people might find out. And if they, and like one thing I say, a good thing about being in the Pan-African movement, whatever it makes you a better person, I'm with it, as long as you're helping our community. What are you doing for our community? So with that being said, what is, Nicola? Let's talk about your life coaching and the healing, so that we can talk about how you are helping our community with the healing part of it. So let's talk a little bit about life alchemy.
Yeah. So life, I feel like I've been a coach my entire life. I just never got paid for it. I'm that girl that everybody came to tell their problems to, right? And I wasn't on my healing journey back then. So therefore, I was allowing myself to be used many times, just people pulling on me for hours on end at a time, until I learned what I needed to do to get the help that I needed, because I didn't have balance. I didn't have boundaries. I didn't know, that I was, basically um, giving too much of myself. I didn't know a lot of different things until I started doing the work. And Al-Anon helped me to do that for me first.
Right.
So I started doing the work in the rooms. I started going to my own therapy session. And the more work that I did for me, and I also, my big book was used as my textbook when I was in my master's degree. So both my personal life and my academics were kind of melding together, where this thing was something that I lived.
Right.
It's me. It's something that it's big to me personally. So it had to stem from there, because the way I coach and the way I teach is from experience mostly. I have theory, but my life experience has been my greatest ability to coach other people. I've been through a lot, and I've had to go through a lot of training and a lot of healing to get my own self right first. And so out of that, um, I wanted to, I started seeing more about, the inner child, and the fact that a lot of the things we think we're struggling with today have a lot to do with the way we grew up as children.
That's
And we
right.
got the blockage there somewhere, and we can't see where the blockage occurred until we take that trip backwards for a minute and try to go into and figure out what happened here, that this frame of thought developed here in this inner child, and bringing it all the way into our adult life. So when I started looking at it from the adult child perspective, I realized that a lot of people I talked to over the years, this is where it was stemming from, but I had no speech for it. I had no words for it at the time until I started doing the work myself, and I got language for it. So I started Courage to Change first, which is my YouTube channel. Just working the steps online with people, just basically going through the steps, going through certain parts of the book. I let people know where I get it from, so you can go and purchase your books yourself and get your own material. We can work it together. I try to encourage other people to maybe try out a room here and there, because I do realize that a lot of our people don't want to sit in there and unpack their most painful spaces with a group of people that don't know their cultural experience,
Right.
right? And a lot of people that I've talked to, they're like afraid to go in a room with a bunch of all white folks talking about their deepest, most, vulnerable spaces. So I said, look, let me give you a glimpse of what this feels like or what it looks like on this channel first. So I started walking through the steps and things like that, just to get people familiar with what it would be like to go into a room and work this program. I don't tout it as the end all be all, like watch my channel and you'll get healed. No, I'm like, this is
Right.
the door. And but from that, I realized that I was getting a lot of messages from people. Can you be my sponsor? Can you help me? So I developed Life Alchemy out of that need. I've been like I said, I've been coaching for 40 years. I mean, been counseling people for 40 years in ministry. So taking my ministerial background, taking my master's degree background, and taking my life experience background, and I put all of that together, and that's how I developed Life Alchemy, life coaching. So when people call me, I am going to help you get to the blocks of whatever is causing you struggles in today. If you're dealing with an issue today, my job is to help trace you back to the place of origin. I want to find the root. And a lot of people are afraid to go into those dark spaces of the pain of the past, because they feel like if I start grieving this, I will never come out of it. And so I tell people all the time, I know what that feels like,
Right.
but I am here to ground you. I have grounding exercises that take people through. I help you feel settled and centered in your own body and mind first. And I give you exercises to call yourself back into your own body, because I deal with post-traumatic stress disorder from the military.
Me too.
So I know what it's like to go somewhere and feel like you're not going to be able to pull yourself back, right? But I did my own work. And I know what it's like to pull yourself back into your body and ground and center yourself back into the room. So I give people these exercises before we even start, so that they know, okay, if you feel like you're going out there too far, here are your grounding techniques. And here are your safe words. Tell me when it's time to pull back. Most of the time, I'm very in tune, so I know when to stop and pull back anyway. But I'm trying to get you back to the root, because if we can pull the root up, then we can free you. And I just wanted to say this too, because I've had the most amazing privilege of working with a woman in her 70s, and she just recently passed away. But she had a blockage in her life surrounding love. And when we walked this woman back, she saw the blockage at 3 years old, even though she was in her 70s. So she was seeing these things that was happening over and over and over and over in her life, and didn't know why. But when she got with me and we walked this thing all the way back, we hit a trauma, an abandonment issue that started when she was 3 years old. And she was able to free herself in that space and get her life straightened out, so that she passed on to her daughters a level of healing and forgiveness. And it was a mending of love and forgiveness with the family before that lady passed on. It was the deepest honor that I ever had, to be able to walk somebody through that space. And, I tell people all the time, it's not over until you transition. So it doesn't matter how old you are, you can do this work, and I'm here to guide you through it. That's what I do.
And like I said, with me being a long term recovery, I understand. I really do. I understand what you're talking about. Having to trace all that stuff back. Like, what me and Kyle were talking about last week about, like a lot of the trauma that we carry through life reflects and affects all of our relationships.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it started in the home. Like one of the things that I do with my nonprofit, Felons with a Future, we're doing something toward. It's not. It's 12 steps, but it's a lot of it's based in it, because like a lot of people think when you bring up 12 steps to them, their mind automatically goes to AA or Narcotics Anonymous. I was just trying to Google how many, because see, I remember when I was working in recovery services when I was in prison. I remember thinking, I remember reading there's over 100 different 12-step programs that a lot of people don't realize.
Right.
And like, so what we do is we're trying to help people get to that healing part about walking back, like you were just talking about. Where did the initial trauma start?
Right.
See, I didn't wake up one morning and just say, hey, I'm going to go sell crack.
Right.
A lot of things that happened that got me to that point where I was 14 years old and the opportunity came and I jumped out there, because a lot of people who were 14 at that time didn't do it.
Right.
It was important for me to find out what was the motivating factor. And like what you're talking about, walking that back, is important. And the 12-step, module helps us with that. One of the most powerful things that I ever did was a 4th step. So now when I do my 4 steps now, after I've done my first 3 and I got to that 4th step of being able to walk back to why I became such a misogynistic person, why I couldn't trust, what I'm saying? And so I like the way that you're doing that. And like, with your channel, I've checked you out a couple of times, and, the 12-step module that you use, it's a powerful thing. And I honestly believe we could use it more in different situations, but we have to help break down the stigma that is only for alcoholics and people with drug problems.
No, that's the way I opened up my whole channel, is letting them know that these steps could be used for anything. Anything across the board that you're having an issue. When you're feeling overwhelmed and you need to know where to start with step 1.
Yep.
I'm overwhelmed. Okay, let's start there. I feel powerless right now. Okay, let's start there, and then start working your way through piece by piece by piece. Like I said, I did this very simplistically for a reason, because I know when you're struggling, for me, because like I say, I have PTSD. I know when I'm overwhelmed, I'm not trying to look for anything complicated. Give me the stuff right here, tell me what to do, quickly. So the way it's set up is, even though you know what to do, it's still going to take you time to walk yourself through it. So you're not going to heal overnight, but you're gonna have some things that you can do step by step by step to put yourself through a healing process.
Right.
So absolutely, it can be used for anything.
And you know, the one thing that we've been talking about, a recurring thing that, you know, some of people I've been talking to, the healing, we want so much healing for our community, but what we're coming to understand is that there won't be any healing for our community if we don't get the healing for the individual first. Because how can I give back to the community and help you heal if I'm still broken and damaged? Because, you know, this will turn into a hustle. You know, we watched that happen. It will turn into a hustle. I start, you know, becoming one side. I won't be open-minded to hear Nicola's point of view of what might need to be happening in our community, and you know, I'm disconnected help that I might get. So, you know, it's, you know, the healing part to the individual really is important, and I like the work that you're doing with the life coaching. You know.
Thank you. You must have seen my other video too, because you know I just did one, and we're doing a part 2 with the Garricks. Lisa and
I love Lisa.
Garrick Land are gonna be on part 2 of the video that I did on the hustling part of it. So
we ain't gonna go there. That's a whole nother show.
I know, but I'm saying that's what we're doing.
It's real though. It's real.
You're talking about community work, right?
Correct.
How can you do community work and ask somebody to trust you when you have that kind of pain in the community?
Right.
It's almost impossible. How do you ask us to unify? If every time I try to trust one of these so-called leaders, and I've been hurt this way. So that's why I say it does start individually. It's a micro level issue where you start working through your own crap first and you get yourself together, because you ain't ready to lead nobody till you get some things in check with yourself. Then maybe branch out to your family, branch out to your community, branch out to the world. But there's a lot of pain. We're asking our people to do something right now to unify as a mass. And you got those types of fractures in our community.
In our community.
We got to talk about that kind of stuff.
And that goes back, you know, like that goes back to, you know, like where Brandon and I should talk about, you know, we've never had a chance, the generational, you know, trauma that's passed down from generation to generation as a community that we haven't had a chance to really heal from. But now all of a sudden we want to fix everything, but we don't even know why we're in pain now. You know, like you know, prior to me even getting out there, you know, because like our generation was the first generation of crack dealers and crack in our community, but we never got a chance to heal from our mother and father's trauma that they were passing to us going through the civil rights. And then they had their own set of trauma passed down to them that they passed on to that they had to deal with and pass on to us. So like we're talking about, getting to the individual healing will help us as a community, but we have to get people to understand that it's okay. It's okay to talk about our feelings. That one thing that, you know, in our community has been so taboo. What goes on in this house
stays in this
house. It's
I
kept.
want to bring something else up about that too, because you're talking about talk about our feelings. We don't feel, as a community of people, we don't even feel permission to feel our feelings. And I just wanted to break that down for a minute with a term called purple washing. Have you ever heard of that term before?
No, educate me, please.
Purple washing. So you saw the Dylan Roof situation back when that little white boy went in that church shot up all of them people that were praying and celebrating God and the whole nine.
Prayed with them and studied the Bible with them first, and killed them. That's crazy. Yeah.
Right. Now you saw how incredibly unjust and how painful that was. But the next day, those people said, "What? We forgive him.
We forgive him."
Purple washing. That's when you spiritualize the thing that you're supposed to be working through. They have not given themselves time to feel grief. They've not allowed themselves to feel anger. They have not allowed themselves to feel mad about the injustice system. They've got a myriad of emotions that got pushed under the carpet because they just want to call on spirit and allow it to go away. And what do? We spiritualize a lot of stuff that we need to be working through. And this grief part of it is huge, because we have been so dehumanized as a people in this country and around the world. I mean, not just this country, but, you know, we have a special type of experience here as African Americans with ancestors that literally were slaves. You know, we have always been dehumanized. We've never been able to have our Black body seen as anything other than chattel.
Right.
So we have internalized this message in our own heads and hearts, and we have felt like we're supposed to be above certain feelings. You know, be strong, suck it up, you got to just keep it pushing, keep it moving. You don't have time to feel that. You don't have time to sit with those emotions. I ain't got time to sit on the couch. And we have allowed ourselves to be so dehumanized within our own selves that we don't take time to say, you know what, I might be a God, I might be a spirit, but I'm having a human experience down on this earth. And I feel human emotions in my body. And I am in pain about the losses that's going on around me. Do I dwell in those things forever? No. Will I be able to get up again? Yes. But in this moment in the time, I feel anger. I feel hurt. I feel frustrated. I'm disgusted. I am whatever. And you allow yourself to have the full range of your emotions,
Right.
the full range of your humanity. We have not had permission to do that as African American people. And that's another reason why I did what I did, to slow us down a bit, because everybody just want to push us into the next thing. Yeah, we got stuff we got to contend with, but if we don't take the proper time to deal with this stuff and to let it go in a humane and orderly fashion, it will rise its head again.
Yes, it will.
And in that, and the time that we're not trying to feel it, see it, sense it, or deal with it, it'll come rising up again, a whole different way. And you'll feel that whole thing playing out when you don't even want to, grief has a way of catching up with you.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, let's give it space. Let's give it time. Let's feel our humanity. Let's feel this thing. Let's release it properly, so that when you move on, because you got to deal with 2021 and all that it's bringing to us right now, because that's a whole other set of problems that we got to contend with. This is a mental and spiritual warfare we're in, but you can't get ready for this war if you're not dealing with the stuff that you need to put to bed.
Right. And it's funny that you were talking about that we don't give ourselves the permission to feel. It wasn't until I got into recovery that, I was able to really identify feelings, like, what's the one thing we always say when we out on the block, or when we see, how you doing? I'm cool. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
So I was never able to really identify, no, I'm not good. I'm disappointed. I feel,
Right.
and that's the thing that, we as a community have to learn to allow ourselves. I'm glad you were talking about that. We have, as a community, have to allow ourselves the chance to, learn how to really feel that. Because, like you said, we do over spiritualize, and, the spirit is real and it's good and everything. But we will always, over spiritualize everything. And like one thing we talk about in the 12-step fellowship that I belong to is like, God will do for you what you can't do for yourself, but he won't do for you what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the spiritual aspect, yes, that's his, that's the spirit, that's what it's there. But I got, my grandfather used to have a saying, I get so tired of people sitting on a log praying for God to give them a house. In other words, get your ass up off
like
the
that.
wood and start building your house.
In your house, right? Right.
The spirit will guide you and put the right people in your circle and your network to help you go to the next level and for that lesson. But you have to do the physical part. As you said, we're God and goddesses, what I'm saying, going through a human experience. And part of the lessons that we're supposed to learn during this human experience is learning how to do things for ourselves with the right guidance. But
Exactly.
we'll always turn it over to God, and God wants us to, say, no, it's okay to feel these pains. It's
Right.
okay to do that.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Now I'm about to go somewhere. I'm looking at those earrings. Those earrings right there. They're real nice. So where, if somebody wanted to get some of those earrings, where would they go about doing that, Nicola?
they will go to www.nhalchemy.com. My husband made these earrings for me, sitting down one day, and I'm like, can you duplicate that? I like these, he just sitting down doing, but we put some obsidian in there because we believe that we need protection right now with all of this 5G radiation that's coming off of our computers and phones and things like that. So these are earrings that's not only cute, which I think they're cute, but they also protect you, as well as this neck piece, which is shungite and what is it? Clear quartz.
Okay.
So, and he also made this is leather wrapped. So yeah, we have a whole section where you can find all of this stuff at nhalchemy.com. And Valentine's Day is coming up. We have some nice pieces for your loved ones. You get your wives and your girlfriends something special that will not only look pretty, but also protect them.
I always have to, try to plug Black businesses on this thing. That's what I'm doing. That's one thing that we believe in is, like I said, I did this interview last night with these two young brothers, man. 24 and 25. And one of the things that we kept on talking about was like learning how to keep the Black dollar in the Black community more than 1.9 seconds. You
Exactly.
know what I'm saying? Even if we're able to do it, just the small growth, even if we're able to keep the Black dollar in the community for 10 minutes, that's a better improvement than what we have. You know, as bad as we would like to see everything worked on and fixed overnight, the reality is it's not going to happen. So
Mm-mm.
plugging Black businesses and trying to, get people to stay, understand that, look, let's keep our community, let's keep our dollar in our community just a little bit longer than what it is important. That's one of the things that I like to always talk about and try to get people to understand.
I
Because
appreciate that.
yeah, we got a lot of entrepreneurs in our community, but one thing, I'm not going to say we don't support them, because some people, when we find out, we do. The one thing that I'm finding is the problem is we don't have a network or a platform to advertise them like what we need to.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's important. And like I like to always try to plug, the small Black businesses. So I had to
I
go there with the
appreciate that.
earrings.
We have a multitude of things. We have clothes on there, caps. We got everything on there. So blankets, you name it. We got stuff on there. But the jewelry is handmade by him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a man who can make you jewelry, I know that's gonna make you happy. And you know what I'm saying.
He's my heart. That's my everything over here.
So what's on the horizon for Nicola?
So one of the first things we're doing, we alluded to it in the video, is on Tuesday, and I'm thinking we're going to do this live. I started a conversation. We're talking about that brokenness about what's happening in community with a lot of church people who are just broken. Number one, because a lot of them are waking up to religion,
Right.
and that by itself is disconcerting and painful. But to realize that you have been taken advantage of, which I have felt all of that, that's a whole other conversation. And a lot of people that come to me for coaching, by the way, because I didn't say that part. I talk about the recovery part of it, but a lot of people that's been coming to me also been coming to me for spiritual coaching, because they're making the transition out of religion into some other form of spirituality that supports them. And I do that as well. But we're going to do a part 2 to a video that I did on the Alchemist, Nicola, which is my other channel, which I get to talk about everything, mostly spirituality, things that's happening in the world, etc. With Lisa Van and Garrett Van, because all of us were not only parishioners, but we were also leaders in the church at some point in our lives. The pastors, elders, a whole nine. So we've seen the gamut of things. And we all got together. We said, we have to have a real discussion about this. So hopefully you all tune in for Pulpit Pimps
Don't forget
and
that.
Church Her Parishioners.
And don't forget about the Hotep. Don't forget about the Hotep hustlers. You got to throw them
It's in there.
there.
It's a lot of it. It's a lot of it. Pulpit Pimps, Hotep Hustlers, and Church Her Parishioners. That's on the Alchemist, Nicola, coming up.
Yeah.
The other thing that we're doing is I'm working on a book about empathic dreamers, because melanated empathic dreamers, because I feel like the way that we're going to come back to ourselves is to remember who we are in our dream state many times. Like, just like I said, the little dream about the Memphis that led me to do Memphis, Egypt, to get me to the Shabaka stone that got me to Kemet. That was a dream state thing where I was being guided by spirit. And if y'all heard my story on protecting you through 5G radiation and COVID-19 with Philippe, I talked about how my dreams saved my entire family from Hurricane Katrina.
So
And
Katrina,
had it
right?
not been for our dream state, we would have literally lost some people in that whole situation. But because of the dreams that we've had, the dreams led us and guided us into different actions, which saved everybody's life. So I'm writing about that as well. I have several projects I'm trying to complete. The other project I'm trying to complete is, because I am ex-military and I did go through military sexual trauma, I have been writing about that. Now that's been a bit harder for me to push out because that's a personal experience that's too deep. But we're doing a book on building resilience after military sexual trauma. So those are two books that will be coming out on the horizon. So just tune in and subscribe to nhalchemy.com, because more and more stuff will be coming out. The other thing is subscribe to the channels so that you'll know when to be led to my website, because you probably already know we're being highly censored. And so there are things I want to give to the family that, my stuff has been taken down a myriad of times. I've got enough strikes on my channels. So I have to guide y'all over to nhalchemy.com so that we can have real discussions about things. But so if you sign up, put your email in there. When I get ready to do a Zoom call and say family come in, we're about to go in.
Right. I'm
So,
over here now looking through your website, and I see a couple books that I know I'm probably going to go ahead and do the ordering, the Afro Vegan Fresh Farm, because that's where
oh yeah.
I'm moving more towards taking the meat and the dairy and all of that out of my diet, and I'm looking for ways to do that. Also, the alkaline herb medicine, I've been doing a lot of that, and that's one thing that I think with me having that 2 bouts of COVID back to back, if it
Mm-hmm.
hadn't been for me starting to change my diet and everything when I did, and working on the things that I have, because like I've been disconnected to pork. You know what I'm saying? I've taken that out.
Mm-hmm.
The red meat, I don't really do that, and it's been really down to just turkey and salmon right now are the only two meats that I still eat. But as far as like alkaline in my body and stuff like that, I've been doing it. And I think I mean this, Nicola. I think if I hadn't started when I did, if I hadn't listened to the spirit and started doing it, it might have been worse, because I'm talking about the first time I didn't really have too much symptoms. I had a couple bad days, but that second time I had COVID and pneumonia at the same
Mm.
time. And
Wow.
for the doctors to still send me home because they said, well, your lung capacity is good. You basically, but we couldn't figure out why my temperature was not breaking. I'm talking
Wow.
about 102.9. The lowest it would get was 101.9. I'm like,
Wow.
you know, but the ancestors brought me through that, man, and it
Yeah.
gave me a different perspective on life. That's how come I'm really, looking forward to doing more of this inward journey so that I can heal, so I can help heal our community.
Right.
As we get ready, we got a few more minutes before we get ready to wrap up. Like so on your channel and everything, I know you talk a lot about, what I'm saying, the healing of the community through the 12 steps. And you also, one thing I like about you is your perspective. And like you said, the experiences, your life experiences is what brings that to you. So if you got anything coming up, any seminars or anything coming up, now's the time. Let us know so that we can follow you. That way, and get people to get the information out there so people can tune in and everything.
I don't have a seminar lined up at this time. However, if you stay plugged in to NH Alchemy with your email, when there's an email blast, I send it out and I'll let you know. Because a lot of things, like I said, because we're being so highly censored, some of the things I need to talk about, I want to give my family, warning about certain things that I might be familiar with. We got to do that a little bit more discreetly.
Right.
So stay, because some things I'm not going to offer to everybody. So you got to make sure that you're plugged into my website to know certain things that's coming out. There's some things that I'm planning. It's not set yet, so I don't want to put anything out there. But I'm trying to get us to do some group healing, melanated people. We got a lot of pain to tackle, and um, it's hard to put people all the way out there about you're a god, and people can't even have esteem enough to sit up straight and know that they're worthy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to stop. For some people, we got to go down to the base level. Like, you're worthy to feel your own feelings. Let's
Right.
just start there and work our way out. So I wanted to bring us together and to be able to do that, but I don't have a set date or a set time because I'm still trying to figure out the best way to do that. But stay plugged into my website. Make sure you have your email. As soon as there's a blast, I'll send it out to you. You'll know to come on in. That won't, something, like I said, some things are just not going to be that public. I'd rather have a concentrated group of people that's willing to get the job done, as opposed to putting a bunch of stuff out there and people are not really willing to do the work. So stay tuned, but plug into Courage to Change, plug into the Alchemist Nicola, and I'm also on Facebook and Twitter if you want to find me there.
And like again, I appreciate you taking this time, Nicola. I really do. If you guys have not gotten the book, you can get it. You'll see me. I've been advertising it on my channel, on my Facebook page. Please, support this. This book is it's very informational. Like I said, I was only able to get up to the fourth step because I have a lot of things going on. I'm in school. I mean, people wonder how I do all of this stuff at the same time. I'll be like, man, this is just who I am. So support her. Go to you can either like I said, I've been advertising it, or you can go on her website and get it, or her Facebook page. Check it out. Help support Black businesses. Check out the jewelry. Like, go on the website. Like I said, I was just on the website looking at some of the products they sell and the books and everything. So please support Black businesses. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, brother, to interrupt you, but I forgot. I just made a coupon for 50% off for anyone that wants to book a coaching appointment, a 1 hour coaching appointment with me. So right now I'm running a sale, 50% off for 1 hour coaching, telephone coaching, and the code for that would be wellness check-in.
Let me write.
Wellness check-in. That's the
Yeah,
coupon code. So anybody watching your show should know wellness check-in is the coupon code.
yeah, I'm gonna put that in the description too, so anybody who comes on the channel would know that. Like I say, support our Black businesses. Get out here. This Queen is doing a lot of good work for the healing. For our community. We have you have an outlet now. You have no more excuses. If you need somebody that you need to talk to, or whatever, she can point you in the right direction, or you can get with her. So like Nicola, man, like I said, I appreciate it again, and like I like it when I there's certain people when I'm on Philippe's or other channels that when I see their names pop in the chat, I'm like, oh, this is about to be good because you bring the truth. While we'll have a lot of people who over here with this rhetoric over here and all of that. But one thing I like about it is you bring your life experiences and you try to keep it solution based, not
Thank you.
problem based. And that's one thing. If you know me, I always ask people when they get to talking so much about what's wrong. I said, well, what's the solution?
Right.
And that's one thing we have to do as a community is keep challenging each other to find out what is the solution to the problems that we are complaining about. Um,
Absolutely.
so again, if anybody would like to help subscribe and support this channel, you can do that with. I will put the link in the description on the description and everything. All the funds that we raise to help other than pay for or to keep the platform going, anything we keep all the profits moving. We move it over to Felons with a Future so that we can keep people, coming through our programs where we're teaching entrepreneurs, teaching restored and returning citizens how to become entrepreneurs, because they're a very vital part of our community. And one thing about it, what's the old saying? You give a person a fish, you teach them how to eat for one day. You teach them how to fish, they know how to eat for a lifetime. So that's what we do with these funds here. We move it over there so that, you know what, we can keep on, you know, helping people heal their selves so that they can heal their community, heal their families. We're the ones who are still here to break the generational curses. And you can get with her again at nhalchemy.com. That will also be in the description. If you would like to buy the book, I will have a way that you can do it through the Gumroad link and everything. So again, Nicola, I'd like to thank you, and I can't wait to, you know, for that next series with you and the Garrett, so I can make sure I don't turn into a Hotep hustler.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the privilege and honor of allowing me on your show today. It's been an honor and it's been fun.
It has been, you know. So with that being said, we're signing off, and I'd like to thank everybody. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, send the invitation to your friends. And if you have anybody that you think needs to be highlighted, those hidden gems in our communities, you know, the educators that help, you know, help keep you on the right path, that shop owner or that Black business that, you know, has been that focal point in the community that's held it down. You know, that young man or woman who's starting a business, or even the older people who've been doing their things, that Black organization that's putting in work in our community. We need those people to get out here so that we can get the information to the community, let them know what we're doing. And it's not just geared to one section. We're talking about all of our whole, over this whole country. With that being said, thank you for participating in our growth and our healing. And I'd like to say thank you and Hotep till the next time we meet again.
Hotep family.